Good morning. I want to offer you a little bit of Saturday morning encouragement. This is a time where we could be very discouraged. I have been seeing reports about many small businesses that are probably not going to survive during this time. Of course, people literally are not surviving. There are concerns about economics, concerns about nonprofits, concerns, all kinds of concerns in this dark time in which we are living. And I think it's important for us to remember that even in the dark times, God is at work. God is at work in ways that we don't even imagine. And sometimes it is the dark times which open up doors for God to be able to work in our lives. I love the story of Joseph. You know, he was a brat as a kid, always kind of lording it over his brothers so badly that they chose to first try to kill him, and then, out of mercy, sold him into slavery. Things go from bad to worse, and he eventually finds himself in prison. But eventually, through the power of God, he finds himself second in power in Egypt. And when he has that reunion with his brothers, he makes an amazing statement. He says, "What you meant for evil, God turned to good." God could take all of the evil that you did to me and the evil that others did to him as well and turn it to good. It's a wonderful reminder that although God doesn't ordain or will that evil happen to us or that others do evil to us, I don't believe that God ordains or wills that viruses happen. It's just part of the fallen world in which we live that is still waiting. And in Romans 8 it says groaning for redemption. And yet God can take all of these things nevertheless and use them for good, even things that were intended towards evil. I saw a great example of that yesterday afternoon. I've shared with you before. I guess I need to tell you where this comes from. John Krasinski, who was a star on The Office and is now in Tom Clancy's Young Jack Ryan, I think maybe, show. He is doing this show during this quarantine time called Some Good News, and this is the 7th week he's done it. I have cried through every one of the 7 because the stories he tells I just have needed to hear. And the story that he told yesterday, or one of the stories, was that he was having a virtual graduation for graduates, and he picked a person who agreed to come on and on Zoom connect with a graduate. And one of the people came on and she was telling her story, how she went to Tennessee State University, and as a young graduate she got her very first job, a dream job, in Baltimore as the anchor of a TV newscast. But you know, before I finish telling the story, maybe I should let her tell you the story as well. So here is her story from John Krasinski's Some Good News.
There have been several times in my life, Amanda, when things didn't go the way I wanted. This is actually the most influential in my life. It was the most impactful because it was the first time. I was 22. I got this big job working in television as an anchor on the news in Baltimore. And I was placed with an older gentleman who didn't want me to be there. But I didn't know that. I came in for the fall of 76. By April 1st, 1977, I'm being called in by the bosses and told that I am no longer going to be needed on the news. I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Anyway, I get demoted. I am humiliated. I am embarrassed. I know that they are waiting to fire me. What they did was, instead of firing me, put me on the local talk show. And the day I did my first talk show, I felt like I had come home to myself. I believe that failure is an opportunity to move yourself in a different direction. It gets better because you learn the lessons. One of my greatest poet mentor friends, a woman who became a mother sister to me, Maya Angelou, used to say to me all the time, "Baby, God put a rainbow in the clouds." And this is true, Amanda. There have been many times when you're on the ground and you're going to fly somewhere. This is my favorite moment in life, that when it's really dark and dreary on the ground, and then you get in the plane, and within 3 minutes you shoot above the clouds and you see the sun was always there.
What that older anchor meant for evil, to try to get rid of this young upstart woman who was on his newscast, it turned out to be a wonderful thing for Oprah. She found her medium. And I love that idea that God puts a rainbow in the clouds. And sometimes when it's overcast, we just have to know the sun is still shining above the clouds. Those aren't just platitudes. Those are honest to God truths. God is working in ways we cannot imagine, and it may be years before we're able to look back and say, you were there, and you took that horrible time, you took that terrible event, and you were able to help it make me who I am today. And I couldn't be who I am today were it not for that event. So brothers and sisters, I hope that gives you some encouragement. Know this day that God is with you. God is working in your life, and years to come we will look back and say, wow, God, I never could have imagined. Amen.